Sure.
Wendy, if it's okay, a lot of people were asking, and I figured you probably would be the best one to answer this, about how Clayton would teach about the big idea for a promotion. So many people were asking about that. I feel like you've heard him teach about it more than anyone else.
You know, the big idea often didn't come right away. You know, like you're talking about the research, he would do so much research and just start typing away at listing all the research, all the information, all the facts that he had, right? And he would just sit on that for days and just keep, you know, plugging away at things. And then usually the big idea would come to him through the research. There would be something special that stood out that he was like, this is what the big idea is. This is what he needs to pull out and move to the front. And that's usually how, you know, it happened for him.
Thank you so much for that, Wendy.
You're welcome.
For David, we had someone that was asking, what was the best headline you think you ever wrote, or the best headline you've ever read?
Is that to me again?
No, that's to David. Deutsch. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't believe he's still with us.
Oh, is he still? Well, then I'll tell you what. Who wants to take that one up? That'll be a great one for anybody. What's your favorite all-time headlines that you've read or even created?
I know one of Gary's famous headlines, because I worked on that package, was lies, 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 and we had pictures of all of the government or, you know, bad guys on the cover of the Magala for Forecasts and Strategies, and that was a big control for you.
Yes, that's correct, Laura. Did you design that one?
No, this is Wendy.
Oh, Wendy. I'm sorry. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I was marketing.
I don't have a picture up here.
Yeah, I was marketing at Phillips at the time.
Yeah, that was a good. That gets to the idea of as I mentioned to Clayton one time when we were talking shop. He loved that package, and the headline was lies, 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 and it was for an investment product. And what I try to do to always get a different big idea, because they're very hard to come by when there's so much competition, is to say, what are we really selling? Because that very often can give you a different take on what our main prospects want. So if I think about the core of that audience, they were getting marketed to relentlessly by maybe a dozen different big publishers. And they were all about the latest hot tips, you know, the things that market's going to crash, things you fear, and so on. And I said, well, you know, there really is a big issue about people not trusting all of the stockbrokers ringing their phone every day, and the IRS, you know, just not liking the IRS. So we hired a great cartoonist who captured the worst attributes of every one of the enemies of top investors. He drew the IRS agent as Darth Vader, and he drew a politician as swearing on a Bible and saying, "I will never again raise taxes," and his fingers were crossed. And you know, so the cartoons were brilliant. So they use humor in that piece. Used humor, which is supposed to be a no-no as well. But it really resonated with people who've been lied to again and again and again by everybody going after their money. So it was a huge success. And another one I think that could be instructive is a very big control package that I had for years was, it was called The Secret of Inevitable Wealth. And that was for Richard Band. And that I get, you know, because again, trying to find something that people resonated with. I said, you know, you're an investor, and there are probably so many things you hate about investing. First, you hate losing money. You hate not knowing what you're investing in. And all of the things that can make you say, it's too hard. I don't want to lose money like this. But there are things you love. You love it when the stock you pick goes up, and so on. All the things they love: secure retirement, financial independence. And then at the very end we had like an evil angel on one side representing all the things you hate, and another one representing all the things you love. And then say, well, imagine if you can avoid the things you hate, but get all the things you love. And that's what this newsletter is designed to do. Is how to make money, and then you know, avoid losses above all. The key in that equation for that advisor was you must avoid losses. And so we wrote the whole package around that. And if you avoid losses, you gain inevitable wealth. And so it was a different way. And it really came from reading a book which was The Richest Man in Babylon. And that's what all those things, and very often you can get, if you keep, Gene Schwartz used to say, keep your eye on best-selling books and movies, and you'll see emotions that you never thought of. You very often can migrate them over to whatever you're selling. And so that's what I did. I read that book, and we wrote the whole package around the same themes, which this advisor believed in. So anyway, long-winded answer, but it's a different way to, to get a different take. What am I really selling? The dentist doesn't sell fillings for teeth. He sells a more confident smile. So,
it's getting to that dominant emotion again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you can capture that, resident dominant emotion in the headline, it's going to be good. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. We've got about less than 10 minutes left. We've got a ton of questions, so we apologize if we can't get to them all, guys. We just appreciate all the enthusiasm for this. So we're going to try to get as many as we can in this 10-minute slot. This one's a little bit general. So Max was asking, what are the things you've learned to value most in your lives, regardless of the success that you've achieved and having wonderful reputations that you guys do in the industry?
I mean, in a word, I would say connection, right? Every time I've ever, heard a story about somebody towards the end of their life, it's always the relationships, it's always the connections. And, as copywriters, we have to understand people. And so having connections with a diverse group of people, other people who are curious, people who will challenge you, those connections, those relationships, I think, are the things that we'll always have when money comes and goes, fortune comes and goes. And as we all learned in 2020, nobody's protected 100% from anything. And so make connections, have relationships, and go deeper on them.
I was going to reiterate something Gary said. Winners are the currency of, negotiating higher fees and royalties. And, start with getting some early successes, some small successes, build on those, get one that's a little bit bigger. It's all about kind of climbing the copywriting ladder. But, start getting some wins for your clients and you won't want for work.
Awesome. And Brian, briefly.
Okay, I have a problem. Sorry. I'm Brian Kurtz and I have a speaking problem. Yeah. I'll build on what Kevin said, which is that, everybody says networking is the key, right? You got to network, you got to be out there, and that's good advice. I just hate the word networking. So the way I describe it, I describe it as contributing to connect. So, and Kevin used connection, so that's what triggered this. So the idea is that you must contribute to people first to have a connection. So how does a copywriter do that? Well, you could do a package on spec, which I wouldn't recommend, because I never would have a copywriter ever do a package on spec for me. If they're going to spend the time and effort, I'm paying them. I might not, maybe you want to pay them a little less and make it up on the back end or something like that. But I think that the idea is to contribute. Maybe it's a short consulting call about a product or a service that you might get an assignment for, but you just give value, contribute to their business, to their livelihood, to their success. And if you get something back, great. And if you don't, great. You got to have 100-0 mentality when you're doing this. You got to give 100%, and if you get what you get back is what you get back. But if you're not keeping score and it's not a quid pro quo, contributing to connect is the best way to do it.
Awesome. So this next question is kind of interesting. Maybe somebody's got a good experience. Where was the most random place that you found a client?
My very first client was a guy who knocked on my door to sell me lawn service. And I was so eager. I was brand new to copywriting. I was so eager to write a sales letter. I convinced him to let me write one for him. And I did. In fact, I have it. I just found it recently. So I've been teaching about the process, but, and then I made him, I said, listen, I'd read that Gary Halbert said, you've got to handwrite the envelopes. It's the most effective thing. So he and his wife hand wrote 200 envelopes and sent them out. the thing converted at like 20%. He got all these new accounts, but which was very exciting for me. But then I said, look, we got to do it again. He goes, no way. I'll never, my hand still hurts. I'll never write that many envelopes. And so he was out. But that was my, that's probably the craziest place I ever found a client.
I love it. That's awesome. So Mom Bus, this one's actually from you, from Luca. Luca wanted to know, what is your next Tom Brady move?
Wow. That was my aha moment. So give me a moment to get the aha going. Okay. So I don't know, but I do know I did a Tom Brady move when I decided to do my book, where I was like, you know, I was writing copy. And I was like, you know what? I want to write a book, and I don't know what's going to happen, what's going to take me, but this is something I want to do. Part of it to show, you know, respect to those whose, you know, shoulders I'm stepping on, because a lot of my heroes were dying, you know, and so I wanted to do something special. And that was something where it was not about the money. It was about, I wanted to do this because it was time for me to do this. And by doing it, it opened up a whole, you know, different set of doors for me, to let me do other things I hadn't planned on doing that weren't really copywriting related. So I think maybe that would have been a Tom Brady move from last year, but didn't know that's what it was. It just was something I thought I should do now. But I'm going to think about it, and I'll let you know when I get it, but I don't have it yet. I just thought I got to do something. I love it.
Awesome. And Lori, this question is for you from Cynthia. How do we find a good designer as a newbie?
That is a good question, Cynthia. Maybe you can look or shout out on Facebook. I've seen people do that a lot. You know, you could always reach out to me. I'm always giving. Tiara is a great designer. I'm always giving her name out. She just pulled a gig for a dear friend of mine. I'm trying to think, on LinkedIn, perhaps you can do something like that. I know AWAI, Carline might know people as well, but hit me up if you ever need somebody, because I have a list of people. But it is kind of tricky to connect at the beginning, but I will try some of those resources.
Awesome. Thank you. And Bob, you're back. I was nervous at first, but someone's got a question from you. This is from Charlene. She wants to know, do you think great copywriting can be taught through a course, or is it a skill someone has and can be honed?
Here's what I think. There's the ways to learn copywriting are as follows: to read a lot, to write a lot. Like a lot of you, I write every day of the year. To become a student of, of marketing, to attend events like this, webinars, AWAI classes. Those are the three. And the fourth way is to study what you get, the mail, the emails, the landing pages. Having said that, I would guess that some people have more of a natural bent than others, but with enough training, you can at least get to a decent level. Not everyone can become, in fact, almost no one can become Clayton Makepeace. That'll never happen. I'm not at that level, but you can get decent over time. Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours, and you get really, really good at it. And 1,000 hours, you become competent.
I like it. I say that's short and sweet and to the point. Let's see. Okay, this one's nice. I'm sorry I can't pronounce the name. It's kind of a fun question. Someone was asking, what's the highest conversion rate you've ever seen on a sales letter at a mid-level price point in what niche? That's a little complicated, but if you got anything along that lines, what's the highest conversion rate you've ever seen on a sales letter?
4%. Carline and I know. On health and healing, on the first promo that went out, it was 4%, which was unheard of in the direct mail business. But that's our claim.
Is that the current record? Does anyone know if it's the current record or?
Yeah, I have one to contribute. The great copywriter Bruce Barton once wrote a fundraising letter to 26 of his friends and business. He got 100% response and raised a ton of money for a small school. 100% response.
Wow.
And you can get that letter if you go online and look for Bruce Barton's letter that produced 100% response. Somebody still put it
Cool.
there.
Okay. Awesome.
That's an
I have
example
one
of having
for
the right list.
Oh,
That's
I got
the
two
right-
talking.
that's an example of having the right list. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
you have to go out to 1,000 people if, you know, 946 of them are not people who are potentially going to buy your product. You find 26 people who are really good candidates and you go after them. There's your high response rate right there.
Right.
I've got one actually for Richard, if he's up for it. Richard, Kenneth wanted to know, what would you say is your number one life lesson that you've learned? And I'm going to keep it into being in the industry because in life is very big. So what would you say is the best life lesson that you could learn from being in the industry?
Gosh, I wish I had, a few minutes to gather my thoughts on that. But I would say something that I said I was going to say till I ran over my time here about Clayton. Read, study. The giants have come before us. Some of them, on the screen right here. But that's early on. I learned. By the way, I'm mostly in nonprofit marketing. And I say I've learned very little in the nonprofit community. The vast majority of what I've learned from the commercial world. And I decided, I went to New York in 1961 to run a conservative youth organization. By 18 months later, I realized I was never going to catch up with Bill Buckley or Russell Kirk or some of these other giants out there in the intellectual area. So I made a deep, deep study of marketing. I literally told my wife, we had a wife and 2 babies when I came to this epiphany. And I said, honey, I'd like to be relieved of all duties. No diapers, no housework, no yard work, no trash, etc. She bought into it. So because I needed to make a deep, deep dive into marketing. I think I've got something that's going to change America here. We're going to go around the microphones that the left has in the country, and we're going to go right to people's homes with direct marketing. And so that would be, we've said it many times. Many times this last few hours, people have talked about the importance of study. And study. So many things that we've talked about, but being a marketer, copywriting is important, but when you can incorporate, as Clayton did, being a marketer and its total parts of it. It's not just the copywriting, but it's understanding everything. Lifetime value of a customer is huge. I mean, it goes on and on. You get that from study. I studied and memorized David Ogilvy and Leo Burnett, and Rosser Reeves. There's giants out there.
Richard,
Awesome.
can you give us the sales copy for the letter that you used for your wife to agree to that? Because I would that swipe copy that I want, because yeah.
I'm then 28, 29 years old. I didn't realize I was really a good salesperson. I didn't realize how good I was.
Yeah, I want to read the call to action on that as
50,
well.
59 years later, we're still married.
Awesome. This one I'm going to direct to Marcella. What habits or traits are vital for copywriters to develop?
So I think people are ahead of me in the chat. I would say for sure you need curiosity. I think you also need discipline. I think there's a really important trait we don't talk about enough, and that is to make sure that you understand that you are not your copy. So if you see, as an artist, if you see your creative output as being you, not something you produce that is out in the world that people are going to have opinions about, and that, like a product that you're going to work on, if you can't separate yourself from this thing that you produce, this art that you produce, then you're going to have a really hard time improving. You're going to be terrified to put it out in the world because it's going to be like standing naked in a stadium and waiting for people to throw spears at you, right? So I think the thing that you need a lot that we don't talk about is this kind of internal resilience and what I call detaching with love. So something we talk about in Al-Anon in my family, right? So you have this thing, which in our case, right, is our son who's an addict that we love and adore, but I have to detach, right, in order to actually have any influence. I can't. So you have to be the same way with your copy. If you think your copy is you, then when Clayton gives you feedback and says this headline sucks, then you can't make that distinction like Carline said. You think you suck, right? So you have to learn to be able to separate yourself from the thing that you're creating And the second thing you have to do is fall in love with the practice. And that's come up over and over here, right? You must love getting to work every day, writing the copy, rewriting the copy, rewriting the copy. You have to love the practice of showing up and writing. Because if you fall in love with practice and you let go of your attachment to the outcome, then you can stay engaged in the process when you're 15 revisions in and you're still trying to improve it, right? So I think those two things, the ability to detach from the outcome, right, and the ability to fall in love with the practice, are equally important as everything we've talked about today, like the research and the curiosity, because those two things are the things that I see in copywriters who actually make it the long haul and don't give up.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Marcella. And Pauline, if you're up for it, I got a question for you from Robin. What is the best way to get started and gain traction? Lots of stops and starts for me so far. I know I can write, but getting out there has been the tricky part. I figured you'd be the best one to target that, tackle that question.
Yeah, be relentless. Don't tell yourself no. I find that too many people tell themselves no before they, like me going to the financial writing workshop in Denver. I told myself no because I couldn't afford it, or I actually didn't think that I was going to be a financial writer. Well, the joke's on me, because yesterday I just submitted my first financial package to my client, and yeah, they love it. So they're about to put it out to the market. So stop telling yourself no. I mean, I'm a nurse by trade, so I finance and me, it's like, what do I know about money? So yeah, just don't say no. But something that I do, Tiara, that's different than a lot of people is, like, I have an unshakable why that fuels me through every tough time. And my unshakable why is a little bit woo-woo, so I'm not going to go there, and we don't have time for it. But basically having something that's unshakable gets me up in the middle of the night for these calls. It's the thing that gets me up every Friday, Saturday morning to be on Paris's calls, so I don't miss out on that. It's the thing that makes me borrow money from almost a stranger so I can go and see Gary Bencivenga on stage for 40 minutes. It's the same thing that fuels me through all the troubled times where I just want to give up, and we all want to give up. So have something that you're working toward, and just stop getting yourself getting in your own way of your success. You do deserve it. Like, look at this panel here. Do you think there's like an odd person out? Like, I think there is, me. Like, but then again, and this is a funny thing, because some people call me an A-lister, other people won't call me an A-lister. I don't call myself an A-lister because A-listers don't call themselves A-listers. Have you ever noticed that? So just when I started copywriting, I wanted to be an A-list copywriter. That's all I wanted to be. Just stay the course until you reach it, and then when you reach it, have another goal, and have another goal, have another goal. Just don't rest on your laurels and don't say no. Sorry, I spoke too long, but
no, I love it. I actually think that's a great way to end our Q&A right now. I'm so sorry. We have literally 70 questions and not enough time to get to them all, but we've loved the fact that everybody was so eager to want to get to know you guys, to pick your brains, and to gain as many gems as they possibly can during this incredible 3-hour show. Or I'm sorry, event. So Mambas, I think you had a few closing words that you wanted to end with. Am I correct?
Yes, I do. First of all, I cannot thank everyone to show you just how appreciative I am for you just giving more. I mean, I asked you to come and give a 7-minute, and then I said, can you stay afterwards? Because I know the people are going to have a lot of questions, and they want to ask you questions too, because you all are awesome. And thank you for doing that. It was kind of impromptu. And so that was awesome. Amazing. I appreciate it. It was February 14th. I was in a hospital with my husband when I had to go look at my calendar and put together a date for his next appointment, that I saw March 24th as the date. And it just dawned on me that was the anniversary of Clayton's death. And that was when the whole idea started of putting this together. So from February 14th, actually, it was a couple of days after that, because I had to get myself together to get back to work first before this happened. So in less than a month, time, we got the copywriting community to show up and say, yes, we're here to do this. We got thousands of people. We had, I mean, it was only 1,000, I should say only, it was like 1,200 people who showed up, but we had thousands who signed up, you know, saying this is awesome. And they're asking, well, can we get a copy of this? Can we get a copy of this, whatever? And I'm going, wow, if I was a good marketer, I sure would have those answers for you. But you know what? I was just focusing on trying to get this done. And I'm like, you know, I'm having some we have family issues right now, serious health problems happening in our family we're dealing with. It all happened all at the same time. But this had to get done because we were hitting a landmark time, and we just could not let a year go by without doing something special for Clayton. I mean, the intention was always there. Don't get me wrong. Some people, Kevin did a great tribute right after Clayton passed away, but it wasn't something that encompassed the whole copywriting community like it really should for someone who gave so much for the industry. So it was awesome, those other things that happened, but something that was a bigger, bigger event was something that we had to do. So I was willing to do it, but I could not have done it without your help. I absolutely, there's no way. And so again, I'm very thankful. I appreciate it. But we've got this amazing now 4-hour event that every copywriter should at least watch once, if not several times. So that's because of you all. I want to say thank you. I wish we could answer all the questions. Can't do it, but I'm glad we got to answer the ones. Gary Bencivenga, thank you for coming out of retirement and being here. Thank you so much. Richard Viguerie, oh, you are an icon. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us your vast knowledge. All my copywriting buddies, thank you. I got to tell a funny joke with Marcella when we're going through some serious stuff at home. And I told her, I said, look, I got some issues going on. And she's like, what can I do? Can I write a headline for you? Can I write you a lead? Only in this industry, I'm like, I'll take some chicken, but no, I'll give you a headline instead, So thank you, Kim, stepping up right away. Bob Bly, first person to say, Carline, I'm in. Brian Kurtz is like, Carline, whatever you need. Kevin Rogers, we're here to, all of you guys, thank you. Paris, you've helped me with the personal as well as the business stuff, because Brian was right on point. I called Paris when I needed some information. Now, thank you, Marcella, for telling me that. So I'm just saying is thank you all very much, because you've helped a lot in so many ways you don't even know. But most importantly, we've got something as a team, as a group, that we can pass the torch like Clayton wanted. And that was the whole purpose of this evening. He was an amazing person. I enjoyed my times working with him. I missed the I love yous. Whenever he would talk to me about anything, we could go at it, battle it out, but it always ended, I love you. So I have the last emails that I can go back on and go, it always ends the same way. So what a blessing that is. What a privilege it was to have him, as my mentor and a genuine icon in our community. So again, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I wish it could go on forever, but I'm exhausted now. So this is a good time to say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Carline.
Love you, Carline. Love you, Carline.
Bye. Thank you, Carline.
Thank you, Carline.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Guys, take care. God bless.
No problem.
God bless.